A lesson on trusting your inner voice and trusting your own value. In Phuket, owning a motorcycle or a scooter is vital because taxi fees will add up quick. And so I bought a bike called a Stallion Centaur 250. But the parts are made in China, so it often needs repairs. So long story short, the repairs started and I was trying different mechanics around me. One day at a motorcycle store, I met this guy and he recommended his own mechanic to me, saying that he'll take care of you. The guy I was talking with didn't seem untrustworthy and he seemed very friendly. Why was there something telling me not to listen to him? Still, I decided to ignore that inner voice, and giving him the benefit of the doubt, I decided to go and visit this mechanic. I went to this mechanic and he was just in this small garage. He was a very smiley man and very energetic. I noticed he didn't make much eye contact, but I think it's because he was always looking at the motorcycles. I figured this man just loves what he does. I had my first repair there, and I also spoke to his lovely wife. Their infant daughter was also hanging around the shop. Upon the first repair, I happily gave him more than he asked for. He took my contact info and would follow up with me saying, "How is your bike? Is everything okay?" I thought, wow, that's really thoughtful of him. After a week or so, when another problem arose, I was actually stranded on the mountain. I reached out to him and he offered to come pick me up and my bike in his pickup truck. He came immediately, even though it was past 8 p.m. He even started working on it immediately when we arrived at the shop. The last time I went to him, I had noticed a bumping noise and felt the vibration coming from the back tire. I took the bike to him and he now pointed to the brake pads in the back, saying that they needed to be replaced. He offered to go pick them up himself, letting me take his spare scooter again for a few hours. So when the repairs were done and upon returning, I thanked him, I gave him an extra tip, and I headed out. Now that night, my friend needed a ride to Patong as he was meeting someone in Bangla Road, which is a famous touristy road in Phuket. On the way there, my friend went on the back of the bike, and I noticed a bump returning and some kind of squeak happening in the back tire. When we arrived at Bangla Road, I was immediately met with what I would call a scam. A guy walked up and said I needed to pay for parking right outside of Family Mart. I replied, "Why? I don't think so." He pointed to some tuk-tuk parked a ways down the street and said something else and demanded money again. My friend convinced me to just pay to not raise a fuss, so I did. We started walking down Bangla Road, which is a very red light district-y part of Thailand. Did my perception match the fun craziness that was often rumored? Actually, for me, it served as a major eye-opening experience. The streets were packed with ladyboys charging tourists to take pictures with them or trying to pull you to their bar. People would also walk up to you trying to get you to come sleep with someone for money. Open bars had what appeared to be either women or transgendered individuals pole dancing. Of course, all around that area were other bars known as go-go bars, where scantily clad women bring up accessories and perform all sorts of tricks that would make your jaw drop. The way I saw this wasn't fun, crazy, exciting, or anything like that. What I really felt was sadness. I felt sad that this whole road even existed. The way I see it, generally speaking, this all comes down to placing more value on money than on your own self. It's no coincidence that places like this and people who are willing to work in such industries largely abide in high tourism areas where the money is. Thai friends had told me that some of their friends also became transgender due to broken families, and that even these friends can't walk around that road because they would be stepping on the territories of other ladyboys who would try to fight them. So I asked myself, why are families being broken? Why are people placing more value on money than they are on their own integrity? What do they need? Is this healthy? Aren't places like this linked to drug use, violence, and other dysfunction, even suicide? No, I'm not wrong to believe that they need to know their own value. After walking my friend to the club he was visiting, I encouraged him not to support sustainment of places like this, and he totally got my point of view. On my return home, I started thinking, if people will do all that I had just seen for money, how easy would it be if my mechanic was doing something to my bike that was making me have to come back to him? Wait, what if being a mechanic to some people who put money over people is not just about fixing bikes? And what if their art, it's about using strategy to make the customer come back in any way? What if they fix the bike but make sure other problems will arise? Where people put band-aids on the problems and treat the symptoms in order to get you into their system where you become a frequent source of money for them. In order to confirm what I suspected, I asked some of my coworkers about a mechanic right next to our school. Now, this mechanic often gets called around to different cities to work on different vehicles, including boats. They also told me their experience with him and found him to be trustworthy, so I went to him. I told him my suspicion about what my previous mechanic was doing. He checked the brakes and said, if the mechanic said he replaced the brakes, he lied to you. My suspicions were true. Thinking back, I was guilty of the very thing that I was kind of judging other people for. I wasn't listening to my intuition, my conscience, my inner voice, which tells me things like, you're valuable. In the case where I had originally met that man at the motorcycle store, I didn't listen to my inner voice, which had been telling me, he's just trying to please you. You see, some people go through phases, just like I had, where they feel the need to please others in order to get validation or approval. I sensed this energy from him, but I didn't listen to my inner voice because I thought it was the right thing to give him the benefit of the doubt. All the while, he was just kind of trying to please me and trying to get approval by recommending this mechanic who actually was not trustworthy. Now, I did the exact same thing with the mechanic by assuming the good in him and that he just loves what he does. My inner voice was telling me he's not making eye contact and he acts a bit unnatural, like he's avoiding being straightforward with you. I've struggled a lot with this in my life, where you want to see the good in people. But what I've realized is that believing in the good in people is perfect, but not when it's at your own expense. You have to be real when people are not ready to act honestly and not let yourself be taken advantage of. So what did I do? In my heart, I know exactly what people like the mechanic need. They need to know that they are valuable, and that it's valuable, and in fact of utter importance, to love one another. They need to know that our value is so great that we need not to live for money, but to live for something greater. As Jim Carrey said, I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. So I asked my friend for a book of the New Testament, translated into Thai, that he may hear the words of Jesus saying, every one of your hairs are numbered, so do not worry. And if there is any other commandment, it is summed up in this saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. I went back to the mechanic a few days later and started talking with him my best in Thai. He continued to avoid eye contact, and it was then that I noticed as he spoke something really fast, as if trying to not let me understand. It was like he actually didn't want to properly connect or communicate with me. Anyway, I handed him the book and said in Thai, I think this is really good. It talks about life meanings. Maybe you can try reading it. I did my best to be as loving and friendly as I could. He kind of nodded and looked a bit confused, but smiled and examined the book for a few seconds. I wished him farewell and rode off as I didn't have much time that day. My hope is that for him and anyone else, is that we would learn that life requires faith that you'll be provided for. Just as you have faith that the next breath will come without you even thinking about it, you can live by faith that everything will come as needed, and the worries and fears of the world will only put you in an unnatural state that makes you doubt your conscience and inner voice. Thank you guys for watching my story. I've never done this before. I think it's really cool. So you might have guessed what was the part that was not true. The part that was not true was the very end where I went back to the mechanic and I gave him the New Testament. I didn't do that because it was kind of awkward. He was scamming me. I felt like if I went back and I just gave him that, it would be kind of passive aggressive. I didn't know how to lovingly do that. So I didn't do that. I do drive by there every day, and I don't know, maybe I'll go there someday. It's kind of awkward, but maybe when my Thai's better, I guess. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. I really enjoyed making it. I've been looking actually for something where I can like make a story and I don't need to do all the work of the visuals, because you know, YouTube, everything's fast these days. You need something kind of streamlined, and this AI art thing has been really cool. So let me know if you like it, and yeah, comment if you guessed correctly about what was the thing that you thought was false in the story. Thank you, bye.